What's up, everybody? Back for episode 13 of Decoding Dune, which is the series where we are reading through the Dune Trilogy by Frank Herbert, meaning the first three books in the series Dune, Dune Messiah, and the Children of Dune. We're currently up to episode 13, which is chapter 13 of the first book. This is being done as we are watching the new Dune films that are coming out. The first film being released a couple of years ago, the second film, I should say, being released this winter, fall, and then another film coming down the pipeline in a couple of years, which gives us plenty of time to read through the entirety of the trilogy to get up to speed on the books. And one of the coolest things for me is that I've been sort of rewatching the first film that Denis did alongside with my read through and sort of dissecting the scenes. And it's been a lot of fun to see those, how they were portrayed in the film versus how they show up in the book. So we're going to go forward from here. If you haven't ever tuned in one of these episodes before, the playlist is down below if you want to go watch the previous episodes. I try to do these once a week. Occasionally I skip a week, just depends on schedules and stuff, but generally these come out on Thursdays, and we are ready to go here. Let's dive in. As always, we start off with a quote from the princess, saying here, on the first day, when Muad'Dib rode through the streets of Arrakeen, some of the people along the streets and everything else were recalling the legends, and they began to shout, Muad'Dib, Muad'Dib. Now, this has been portrayed in different films and TV series in different ways. I think I liked it. I mean, it was great in the Neo film, but I also think that they did a very good job in the Sci-Fi Channel's version, which was a miniseries that did, I want to say, 2001. The special effects weren't that great because they didn't have that great of a budget, but the overall adaptation was very well done here. But it says here that their shout was more of a question than a statement here. They are hoping, and this is the thing, they call him here, they are hoping he was the one foretold as the Lisan al-Gaib. And this is what they were shouting in the Denis version, which is out right now. The voice from the outer world, as it says. But also their attention was focused on Lady Jessica because the the propaganda machine of the Bene Gesserits had been at work here for centuries, and it says here it was obvious to them that she was like the other Lisan al Gaib, or voice from the outer world. So this is foretelling to some degree, but also the foretelling is because the Bene Gesserits were here planting these ideas in their mind for a long time and stoking the fires of superstition, which, boy oh boy, there's a it's not for everyone, but if you've never read the Hyperion saga by Dan Simmons, there is some similar stuff that happens there with the Catholic Church and the way the time travel works and everything else, and the seeding of ideas. Anyway, it works really well here, but it's also very creepy. And I think the one of the things that the most recent film did very well is Paul's feeling of, at least in the movie version, which I appreciated. He feels very manipulated because of the Bene Gesserits. I mean, when he finds out that he's just a bloodline that's been, genetically modified to be this creature, he feels very much manipulated. Um, and he feels like these poor people haven't been given a choice in what they believe because of the Bene Gesserits. It's a very interesting point of view. I haven't seen that portrayed so much in the book. And again, I haven't read the books in 25 years, so this is kind of a re understanding of things from my perspective. So the opening of the chapter finds the Duke meeting with Verhowat in a corner room, and he's basically looking around and the wall and the room and these suspension chairs have the Harkonnen H hastily removed on them, leaving this kind of scratched, discolored section of paint. And how it says the chairs are liberated but quite safe, and I just think that's a very interesting way to look at things. But Howat wants to know about Paul and how he's doing, and the Duke is very much, hey, he's fine, but let's get to the matters here. Um, and so here we start talking about the Imperial and Harkonnen stockpiles of spice. And Leto is a little bit concerned here because storehouses are capable of being sabotaged, And he says if you ignore the Emperor's horde for a moment, he said he would secretly enjoy it if the Harkonnens were embarrassed. Um, but can the Baron object if something is destroyed which he cannot openly admit that he has? So this is a very interesting thing because it's like, can we actively fight back and make it, look bad for them, and not get caught? He also suggests that perhaps some of the Fremen might enjoy a little trip off planet to Getty Prime. Oh, uh, So this scene is basically Howat telling the Duke, I've got this snippet of a message. I didn't want to broach it with you, but I think I should. But understand that it's just a snippet. Let's try not to read anything into it because it could be interpreted a lot of different ways. But essentially, it says Leto will never suspect when the blow falls on him from a beloved hand. Its source alone would be enough to destroy him. And it says how it tells him that the note was under the Baron's own seal and it's been authenticated. And the Duke is like, your suspicion is obvious, but he says it in a manner that's like super rigid and cold. Um, and they want to know, he wants to know why they didn't get more from this courier, this spy that they found. But unfortunately, he wasn't alive when they found him. So there's a moment here where the suspicion is cast on Lady Jessica, and the Duke was like, "No, she's been with me for 16 years. It's not possible." Um, and how it is, he's like, "You've investigated her and the school, and etc." And how it's like things have been known to escape me. And I think this is a brilliant flashback to where we were a couple of chapters ago when the Hunter Seeker came, and how it wanted to tender his resignation because he felt that he had failed in protecting everybody. And the Duke was like, "No, you don't get to abandon ship during this moment of crisis. You need to make it up to me by finding the spies and finding the people who just tried to kill my son." But also, Leto's like, if it were Lady Jessica, she would have done it by now. She would have poisoned my drink, a stiletto at night. She would have run away. And Howat replies, "Well, my lord, the Harkonnens are trying to destroy you. It's not enough to just kill you. They need to destroy your whole family line." And the Duke is um, very upset here. He's thinking to himself, it can't be her. She opened her heart to me. We have trust. And he mutters, "What better way to destroy me than to sow suspicion of the woman I love?" Oh, very, very, very powerful stuff here. Ooh, and this is where Duke Leto gets, well, I should say that how it tells Duke Leto that the people were calling Paul Maudit, and he's like, "What does that mean?" And he tells him, "Well, my lord, they have a legend here that a leader will come to them, a child of a Bene Gesserit, to lead them to their freedom." It says it follows the familiar Messiah pattern. And as we end the chapter, the Duke is looking over. Paul is asleep in this room that was in the conference room. He goes back and he's looking out, watching the sun come up, and he's thinking to himself, perhaps the planet could grow on me. It could become a good home for my son. But then he also watches these dew collectors out there, water being so precious that even the dew must be collected, meaning it's a super harsh environment. And then he thinks to himself, but it also could be a hideous place. Um, Sort of an ominous ending to that chapter, but knowing what we know, or at least remembering what I remember from what Arrakis becomes later on, there is beauty in the desert and in what the planet could become in the future. So, love to hear your thoughts on this chapter. Drop them down below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you never miss an update. Check out all the other episodes in the playlist, and I'll see everybody next week. Until then, stay safe and happy reading.